I'd like to call the City of Apache Junction's council meeting to order. The invocation will be led by Vice Mayor Rizzi. The Pledge of Allegiance will be by check your microphone. Test. Yes, it's on.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege of being gathered here today to do the city's business on behalf of our constituents. We ask that each of us be guided by you in the decisions that we make that affect others and not by any personal agenda or ego. We ask to be humble in our disagreements and that we never forget we are here to serve the people of this beautiful community. Lord, we pray for the safety of all those affected by the Telegraph fire, along with the hotshots and firefighters working tirelessly in these record temperatures. Father, we also ask for your protection for all of our first responders, those serving in our military, and all of their family members. We ask that they may be brought home safely each and every day. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Wilson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Rizzi.
Present.
Councilmember Biggs.
Present.
Councilmember Evans.
Here.
Councilmember Gremmel.
Here.
Councilmember Nesser.
Present.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Here.
You have a quorum, Your Honor.
Thank you. As a reminder, all items on the consent agenda will be approved with one motion. If a council member wishes to remove an item for further discussion, the request will be made prior to approving the consent agenda and will be moved to new business. Do I have a consent agenda motion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi.
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser.
Yes.
Councilmember Evans.
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs.
Yes.
Councilmember Gremmel.
Yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously, Your Honor.
Awards and presentations. I'm going to move that to a little bit later in, and we're going to skip and go to the regional government updates. Regional government meeting updates from mayor and council members. Do we have anyone that wants to bring up any things that they've attended?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I serve on the CAG board. My last meeting was over a month ago, so no immediate updates. So after my next meeting, I will fill you in on everything that needs to be done.
Okay, I also serve on the Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport Director Board, and we had a meeting today, and they said that they've seen a dramatic increase in travelers, up over 966% of increase in passengers from April of last year to April of this year, but that is still down by 17% from 2019, but the trend is a major improvement. They now have 5 airlines that are working out of the airport. They had 3 in 2019, so you can see the increase in the transportation from there. One of the flights is the furthest one that they have is a nonstop offered from here to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and that's going to be starting in August. Don't know what the cost is, but it's the long distance, one way, nonstop. September and October are going to be returning flights back to Canada. The Canadian government has removed the restrictions so that is now opened up for the winter traveler. The U.S. Forest Service has now received over 500,000 gallons of fuel and is working towards 1 million for the needed fire support. They had to make arrangements for additional fuel. They almost ran out because of the severe demand. The new tower has placed its last of the 14 precast sections and is now working on the top of the tower to be hosted up when it's completed sometime this September, October timeframe. And the funding for that has been through the FAA, which is a no cost to the airport whatsoever, which is outstanding. The new chairperson for the director board is Mayor Giles. He's the mayor of Mesa. And unfortunately, I guess I was elected as being their treasurer. Also attended a meeting along with Councilman Robert Schroeder to the Apache 69 Lodge. They're in the process of building a new building on Ironwood and have approved the building plans and are working on funding and hope to start construction sometime this late fall, early winter. And that's all I have. Okay. Flip the page here. City manager's report.
Thank you, Your Honor. Bryant Powell, City Manager. I just wanted to show you a map that Liz Legenbach and I have been holding on to. It's the design concept for our very first off-leash dog park, and we want to say thank you. Now it's time to go build it. So Liz, let's go build it, and thank you for your support in doing that. So many from the community are so excited to have that amenity. For my report tonight, I have first, we're excited to have with us from Pinal Partnership, Tony Smith, who is here to present their new projects that are going on in the Pinal Partnership, along with future plans. So Tony, will you please come on up, and we'll queue up the presentation for you.
Very good. Thank you very much for having me, Mayor Wilson, Vice Mayor Rizzi, and council members. After 12 years in public service, 4 as mayor of the city of Maricopa and 8 as the county supervisor, it is somewhat refreshing to be on this side of the podium. And in March of this year, after a couple months of what I thought was retirement, Pinal Partnership invited me to be their president and CEO. So that was one of those opportunities I didn't think was worth passing up. So I took that job. There's a great organization. I had plenty of admiration for the work that they did and my participation with them. And I want to thank Apache Junction's City Council and the many people in Apache Junction for your participation and support of Pinal Partnership through these years. Pinal Partnership is a 501c6 nonprofit organization. I just want to set a little bit of the history if you're new, or for the audience. We have around 200 members. They are from a variety of corporations. All of our municipalities in Pinal County are members. We have institutions. Many of our utilities are part of it. And then we have 22 board of directors. It's an organization that is ran by board of directors, and then there's an executive committee, and then a chair, and then the president, and the other employee is the executive director. One of the things in which Pinal Partnership has done very, very well through the years is committee work, and committee is by people who volunteer, just like many of the committees that you have in your city for whether it's planning or zoning, etc. Oftentimes the chairperson is a subject matter expert in that area, and we have them in those areas. I would have to say that after the COVID and some of the other challenges over the past year, only 2 or 3 of them are actually meeting and doing work. One of the tasks that is before me and the potential new executive director is to reboot those committees, get them refocused, restaffed, and I hope that members of your city council would also find an interest in one of these areas and be part of that committee. We need your help, and this is for the betterment of all of our communities within Pinal County. One of the signature events that Pinal Partnership has is our breakfasts, and we have a number of topics that we present on a monthly basis. Our next monthly meeting will be on June 25th, and that'll be just down the street from where you're located in Gold Canyon. But we oftentimes have representatives from the city council, whether it's mayors, others. We always have the Elliott Pollock's market forecast. That's a very popular one, but we also sometimes go into very challenging topics such as Johnson Utilities and what to do with the impact and how to fix it. Our next one is working with the industrial manufacturers, looking at the job creation and what's happening as we continue to change Pinal County. Some of the projects that we've had in the past, we were the focus point for the Pinal County Regional Transportation Authority. Of course, the county created it, but there was a lot of marketing that had to be done in order to position that for the vote some 3 years ago. We're looking optimistically for a positive result from the Supreme Court and hope that we'll be able to get on with the 20-year transportation plan that we've all worked very hard to make happen. A number of the other things that we help support, we are very concerned about water and basin studies, and we're just completing the end of a basin study that is we call the Eloy and Maricopa Stanfield, but it stretches out to Coolidge and Florence and et cetera, all within the Pinal AMA. 3-year study that was funded by a grant originally, and that is concluding. They did a lot of data gathering, and now they're down to brainstorming and thinking based on the data, what can we do with it? But this is the type of work that Pinal Partnership does. We take on topics and then we drive them through to conclusion. Some of the future projects that we will be embarking on with as we go down the road is many of you are familiar with the fixed large Pinal County map that we sponsor. Well, imagine that being layered with various things such as transportation, utilities, city limits, general plans, the new manufacturing sites, et cetera, and to be available either on your iPad or your phone. We think that there's great potential that we can use that for economic development purposes and other purposes in order to layer and have all those turned on and turned off so that we can help member cities such as yours and other economic development groups have a tool that they can be able to, from those easy, convenient smartphone devices, be able to communicate with site developers and et cetera. We always want to improve, so we put out a survey in order to find out what does our membership want from us, and so we asked several questions. We have all the results. Now we're getting the data, and we'll have those results, and we'll share that at one of our future breakfasts. One of the trademark things that I've been doing in not only my career when I was with Motorola in strategic planning, but when I was mayor of the city of Maricopa, I brought the first strategic plan to that new city, and we embarked on a roadmap that we could all gather around and find our future direction. Likewise, I did that, was led to charge as a county supervisor, and I think the acknowledgement from the other county supervisors and the county manager at the time was that was the one item that we are all able to rally around, and we used it in order to restore our financial health, get us in focus in the areas that we needed to go, position ourselves for improving our transportation, and this is one thing that I think that Pinal Partnership can use in order to give us a 3 to 5 year vision. Where does this county need us to help and in what ways? So those are the basics of what we're up to, and I want to thank you. If you had any clarifications on anything I said, I saw that was possible in the agenda. But I turn it back to you, Mayor.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
Just a comment. I've always appreciated attending those. They've been very informative. It's great to engage with other leaders across the county. And so we've appreciated those.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Tony.
you.
Thank you very much.
Your Honor, tonight we're very honored to have with us our Youth Advisory Council to present their efforts this last year. And I'm going to bring up JJ from our Parks and Recreation staff to do the presentation. JJ?
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. JJ Underwood, Parks and Recreation Coordinator. First, I want to thank you guys for your continued support over the past years with our Youth Advisory Council. 6 years ago, the current mayor and City Council tasked our department with creating a Youth Advisory Council to help provide a voice for our teens here in Apache Junction. Over those years, we've done many different projects, been part of different focus groups, helped name parks and stuff in the city, and last year was no different. A little bit more challenging with the pandemic, but however, we were still able to meet 15 times in Zoom and over person, attend 6 different service projects, such as decorating our downtown tree. We participated in our dog park focus group, and we helped sponsor a geocaching event to help get people out into the community, into our parks during the pandemic. So we're super excited to be able to do everything and to continue to help serve and provide that voice for our community. Additionally, 8 of our 12 members graduated this year, which is great. So we provided a short video for you guys that we're going to play now that kind of highlights some of the other things that we didn't or I didn't speak of. But you'll notice that in there we have our Youth Advisory graduation pictures, and they're even wearing our YAC colors as their graduation cords to show their support and their excitement for our advisory council. So we will go ahead and play the video.
It was definitely stressful, especially because a lot of what Yak originally did was participate in the big events and all the classes and stuff.
At first, I was like bummed out because like we would be missing out with like a lot of events.
It changed everything. We did start at a different time. We did everything different, more virtual.
It was hard, but then it was also easy because we had to wear masks, so we couldn't really see each other, which really is a bummer, but you have to be safe. We did have a lot of meetings, but we also had Zoom meetings, which was very helpful because in December, my mom got COVID, so I couldn't attend meetings, so I went on the Zoom call, and it was really nice. I still contributed.
With this year, we kind of wanted to limit that and demonstrate that we were leading in a time of a pandemic, so we would do things that had to deal with social distancing, things that had to deal with online, which is why one of our biggest projects this year was doing geocaching, so that way people can still maintain 6 feet of distance, explore that outside, and still have fun.
Good job.
So, Your Honor, we'd love to have them come up and be a part of a photo. And I know they're shy, so come on up. Some of them have been with us a long time, almost from the beginning. It's a big deal. They, if we can, yeah, then I call them the pioneers of the Youth Advisory Committee, and if we can't give them a hand.
Yeah, yeah.
So, Mayor and Council, yeah, stay up there. If you guys
Oh,
stand up, so we're
okay,
gonna have you
behind them. Okay, got it.
and you all stand moving in. Yep. Hector, kind of line up like this.
Hey, Liz, I think this guy over here is an imposter, though, because he's got a tie on and all
How'd you
that.
get JJ? Yeah, JJ looks great. Thank you. I know you.
Kelly, come on in here.
If we could put her
I'll
right
get on,
here.
I'll get on
There
a
we
chair.
go.
I'll stand on my
There.
tippy toes.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
want to know who climbed inside that tree, that burly, spiny tree. That took some courage.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Good
much.
job, guys. Thank you.
Congratulations to the seniors and graduating, and
Absolutely.
it's
Yes.
amazing. It's amazing, big chapter. And then my last item for my agenda and report is Al Bravo for current events. Al, you ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Al Bravo, Public Information Officer for the City of Apache Junction. And as a result of discussions at our council retreat most recently, we have decided to redo some of the announcements of events going on in the city that the council has done in the past. So the council has funneled to me some of the things that are going on out there, and I am going to tell you a little bit about what's happening. So first, Councilmember Gremmel would like to remind everyone that this month's Kiwanis meeting is happening very soon. They meet the fourth Thursday of every month at the Salvation Army, which is over on East Broadway. The next meeting is June the 24th. The club would always appreciate additional community support in order to help our children here in Apache Junction. We also have a number of things going on within our Chamber of Commerce. There's obviously things going on at the Chamber of Commerce, but in particular, they have three big events coming up. One has already started, which of course is the Shop Local program that goes on throughout the summer until October. You can check out all the discounts and other things that that entails at ajchamber.com. They also have their golf tournament. Annual golf tournament comes back this year, September the 24th at the Mountain Brook Golf Club in Gold Canyon. The details, of course, again, on the Chamber's website. And then also on August the 19th, the Chamber will be having its annual awards dinner over at the Road Haven Resort on Idaho Road. Again, you can go to ajchamber.com for all the details. As we all unfortunately can see in the sky and have heard about quite a bit over the last 2 weeks, major fires are continuing to burn throughout central Arizona, including what's now the 6th largest fire in state history, the Telegraph Fire, which is burning between Superior and the Globe and Miami area and continues to burn. The area got so close to Superior that it came right up against the Boyce-Thompson Arboretum just in the last few days. Luckily, that did not get damaged, and it looks like the fire is all moving east. Unfortunately, the smoke, as you know, is still moving west, so we're seeing quite a bit of that. But the folks in Pinal County are going to start collecting donations for those affected by the fires, displaced or otherwise. Councilmember Biggs has volunteered to collect donations from our area, so you can contact him for those. And obviously, as we continue to go forth, our thoughts and are with all those fighting the fires and those supporting those who are fighting the fires and those affected throughout the state of Arizona. Mayor Wilson also wanted to let you know that he went by to the First Friday event that happens over in the old Bashas Plaza, the East Valley Shopping Center, and received this plaque that you can see I'm holding right here. We'll do it for the camera as well. This was in commemoration of the first year of First Friday events that they've been holding over there at the in the parking lot there, and they wanted to acknowledge the city for its support, and so singled out Mayor Wilson at the first year celebration at the beginning of June. And those are your council announcements for June the 15th, 2021.
Thank you, Your Honor. That concludes my report, and you may want to go back to proclamations. I think I saw Representative Cook come in.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the awards presentation. I have 2 awards to do. First one is a proclamation recommending the mental health for the month of May of 2021. So we're a little bit late on this, but we definitely want to do it. Whereas the month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month, an estimated 1 in 5 Americans experience mental illness, and whereas almost all Americans across the country have been touched by mental illness, either directly or through someone we care about, regardless of geography, politics, or economics. Whereas cities, public safety services, and other first responders often here bear the burden of under-resourced mental health care, and whereas mental illness disproportionately affects the most vulnerable in our cities, those living at intersections of homelessness, poverty, and mental health, and whereas our federal and state leaders must do more to invest in solutions that will save lives, ultimately save taxpayers' dollars by helping people manage treatable diseases and avoid costly emergency room visits or inpatient hospital stays. Whereas investing in preventing and promoting of mental health will yield substantial cost benefits, improve social outcomes in every aspect of our communities. And I, therefore, Chip Wilson, Mayor, City of Apache Junction, do proclaim May 2021 as Mental Health Awareness Month.
Your Honor, Sherry Dupree is here to receive the proclamation.
Okay. Turn around. Go ahead, speak something.
First of all, I just want to thank you, Mayor Wilson and council members, for making May a proclamated month for mental health awareness. We definitely celebrated it at Horizon, and I just wanted to speak a moment to thank the City of Apache Junction Health and Human Service Commission for a grant that they gave to us at Horizon to train folks in the City of Apache Junction on mental health first aid. As you had mentioned, 1 in 5 members of our community at any given time will have a diagnosable mental illness, and only 43% of adults and 51% of children with a diagnosable mental illness will actually seek and receive treatment. And so that leaves about 50% of folks that are struggling with some mental illness walking around without support and resources. And so we were glad to get the grant and to be able to bring mental health first aid to the City of Apache Junction, its residents and some of its workers here, to bring support to those folks and awareness and mental health literacy, and also is what I call it a stigma busting campaign. To bring some facts around mental health first aid to debunk some of the myths that are out there. So in that training this year, we've actually held 8 mental health first aid community trainings. We've held actually 11 in the last year, but 8 of them were grant specific. We did hold a park ranger specific curriculum with mental health first aid training up in the Phoenix area, and it included many of the park rangers that actually work here in Pinal County, and that's a law enforcement specific curriculum that mental health first aid came up with. And so we got to sponsor that, which was wonderful. And then we had 8 other trainings that included many City of Apache Junction staff. Some of my graduating mental health first aiders are actually out here in the audience, I see. And then we also got to train some of the Apache Junction Unified School District staff and teachers. We got to train, I think, almost every staff member at the domestic violence shelter here in town, Head Start, Hope Women's Center, Child Crisis Center, Salvation Army, and many other nonprofit organizations and ministries that are active here in Apache Junction. So in all, in those 8 classes, we did get to train about 100 residents and workers in the city of Apache Junction, making it an even better place to reside, creating mental health literacy and empathy for those that have mental illness and substance use problems. So with that, the grant does come to a close in a few weeks. We've met all those requirements. However, we are keeping open the possibility of creating and having more mental health first aid trainings in the community.
Good.
And so I have a flyer that I'd like to leave behind in my business cards because we haven't scheduled any. It'll be kind of on an as needed or as people, want to have the class. We can make it specific to organizations or make it community-based and bring residents in. And so that is a possibility. We still do have supplies from the grant, and so we would like to continue to offer those classes for the City of AJ staff and residents and workers here. So I will leave the flyers and the business cards over here at this desk. And again, I appreciate you proclaiming May is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, can I just comment real quick?
Okay.
I just wanted to,
We'll make sure council gets some.
I just wanted to thank you for doing that. I took the class and graduated myself, working with, it's okay, working with,
Your voices.
it's okay. Working with children and homeless, it's really important to have that training. And if I remember right, I think Councilmember Biggs also had that certification. And so I just wanted to thank you. And I wanted to thank you for leaving this, and hopefully we can continue it and have more residents or people that work with people that may need that, take that training. So thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome, and we're more than happy to bring that to the community. So,
Your Honor.
Yes.
No, I completely agree. In addition to having the class, I'm actually an instructor as well.
Yep.
And it opened my eyes in the work that I do. It is huge, and I think in our community, and when we talk about mental health, it's not just 1 month, it's every month, and we need to continue that. You hit the nail on the head when you said stigma busting, and we've got to break down those stigmas because it is a huge conversation that needs to happen. So thank you for the work that you guys are doing. Appreciate it.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Okay, my other proclamation here is, whereas the San Carlos Irrigation and Drainage District was formed in 1928, which is a water supply consistent primarily of the Gila River water and groundwater provided by the San Carlos Irrigation Project. And whereas the SCIDD system, which contains over 200 miles of unlined canals and laterals, is more than 100 years old and loses excessive amounts of water each year. And whereas the SCIDD currently is in the process of improving canals and facilities that serve all 100,000 acres of the Gila Indian community lands within the abbreviations here, all San Carlos Irrigation Project, with funds from the Arizona Water Settlement Act of 2004. And whereas security in the Pinal County is an increasing acute issue, and a canal lining project would yield significant water conservation savings estimated at more than 50,000 acre feet annually. And whereas the San Carlos Irrigation and Draining District will exist at all of its available funding prior to the completion of the next canal project, including rehabilitation of more than 18 miles of old unlined main canals, regulatory reservoirs, and over 200 miles of earthen laterals. And whereas the only impending to success for the yeah, you gotta find it here. San Carlos Irrigation and Draining District, I lost my place here, and Canal Rehabilitation Program is the lack of significant funds, with the project estimated to cost approximately $300 million and includes construction of a 300-foot mid-system regulatory reservoir. Now, therefore, I, Chip Wilson, Mayor of the City of Apache Junction, Arizona, do hereby proclaim the City Council supports the current efforts of the United States Congress to enact a water infrastructure legislation to improve the conservation of water with existing projects and to construct new projects needed to increase the supply of water for Arizona. And the City of Apache Junction Council supports congressional efforts to procure the necessary water conservation and infrastructure funding at the next possible funding opportunity to safeguard Arizona's precious water supply for the well-being of Arizona citizens, communities, environments, and economics. Signed on this date, 15th of June, 2021. And Mr. Representative Cook, if you want to come up and get this.
I don't know how he reads that. The letters are so
No,
tiny.
I'm
It's way bigger on our screen.
Right?
Forgive me, Mr. Mayor Wilson and council members. Thank you for your service, and I really like to thank the people in the audience. This is one of the most attended city meetings that I've been to in a long time. And I want to just briefly, if I may, explain to you what you've done and helped do here today. Many of you may have seen the latest articles that have come out, and not about me jamming up the budget, but to keep your people safe in this city and town, right? But it's about Arizona's water, and I believe we're 1.5 million acre feet of water short today. And although the people will still have it come out of their taps, and you're serviced by Arizona Water probably in most of your homes, it's really the future of Arizona's economy. And when I support the governor and our growth and things like that he's done a wonderful job, is when we go to cut taxes and we think about, well, the growth is going to grow us out. The one thing I've always stuck on at the legislature is, where is the water going to come from? So what this project is this system is Arizona water. It's based off of the Gila River. The dam is called the Coolidge Dam. It was built by the federal government at the San Carlos Indian Reservation, and that's why it's called San Carlos Lake. But what the Gila River system does is it doesn't just service the agriculture producers from the dam all the way over to the west side of Casa Grande. A month ago, I got called by the city of Kearney, in which out of the global water settlement, they were out of water. They had 9 acre feet left. They had no water, and I had to go to work. So I had to work it out with the tribes, and because they had water they didn't use. Water is the thing that our future is going to be based on, and with more people moving here into your city, which is attractive and beautiful and located right at the base of the most beautiful mountains I think we have in the state of Arizona, then we have to make sure that we can secure that future for your city and your people. Now, can you imagine, this was built in 1926, and it had generators. And if you remember this article I'm going to quote in a minute, it had generators to generate electricity. Today, those doors on that dam are welded up because there's no water behind the lake. If we think about Lake Mead and the article that was just written in the Arizona Republic, is that is a question before us today. Lake Mead is at the lowest level that it has been at since it was built. At some point in time, those generators need a certain amount of water in there to create the power that comes to Arizona. And that will affect our power costs going on in the future as well. But back to water. If we would have done this and what you're helping me accomplish today, and I'm going to end up with some good news, there would be over 500,000 acre feet of water behind the dam today if this was done 10 years ago. Now think about that. The report from the federal government that I got 2 months ago said, at a minimum, they are wasting or losing 55,000 acre feet of water. Now, a lot of people in the audience may know what that means, but for the general person, you have no idea. 55,000 acre feet of water is more than enough water for 110,000 homes. Now, think about that a year. What would happen if we would have fixed this 30 years ago? Well, today's the day we need to fix it. In part of this $300 million in this plan, there is to build a new water reservoir near the interchange of Interstate 8 and Interstate 10. That will even conserve more water. So thank you for your help. If the mayor wants any questions on the budget, I will tell you this. I had my first meeting with the governor's office this afternoon. When I left the House building, I told the security people there, if anybody finds my body laying at the base of that tower, I did not jump.
Yeah.
So thank you again for all your service and for your community for being here tonight. And Braden, thank you for helping me get this done.
We can't thank you enough for sticking up for small communities like Apache Junction.
Would Mr. Mayor, if you have any questions about the budget or the fires, no one's closer to the fire than me, if you haven't noticed.
Yes, I saw that. One of the things we want to say, we as council members and as a city want to thank you for basically not only representing us, but representing the entire, I want to say, state in you know, this, how this is, impact is going to be to all of us. And it's not just for the city operations, it's also for our police and fire and everyone. It's going to be a major impact, and we sure appreciate all your assistance and help in that. And anything that we need to do to assist you, just let us know. We will be there to help you.
I'll do that. I'll give you some good words. We're going to make sure that we have enough money to fund public safety in the cities and towns. And what I've often thought is I can count cattle pretty easily, but what I've told these people is show me your math.
Yep.
If this is going to work, then there needs to be safeguards, which I call triggers. And if your projection, the revenue income is true what the state is, then we'll be fine. But if not, there needs to be safeguards built in, a trigger system that makes those adjustments. And I'm probably going to get in trouble, but that's okay. I'm used to trouble.
Yep.
These are the people we're talking to.
That's right.
Does anybody in their right mind, if you had $700 to $800 million of one-time money, would you pay 1.5% of the richest people's tax liability for this state for 1 year? Or would you pay down debt that would save the taxpayers of this state $160 million a year this year and every year going forward? What would you do? I know what I would do, and I know what I'm standing up for. I read the bills. I understand the concept of it. So I'm under a lot of pressure, but I'm looking out for you. I'm looking out for your kids.
Yep.
Our state has $7 billion in debt. The federal government keeps racking it up, and I want a plan to see us pay it off for our kids. So that's what I'm doing, and I thank you guys.
Thank
for
you.
being here.
Thank you for being a champion. Yes. Yes.
Now I gotta drive another 60 miles.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So I was just informed I can read the next two items together, which is public hearings. Consideration for Resolution 2125, pre-annexation agreement for the auction property And consideration of resolution 2126, pre-annexation agreement for retained property between the city and Apache Junction and state land. Joel.
Mr. Mayor, and I think Bryant's going to jump in at one point because this is pretty exciting. Well, we talked about this before, and so what we have before us tonight, if you take a look at the map, the two resolutions, 2125 and 2126, authorizes the city council to enter into a procedural pre-annexation agreement that relates to both pieces of property. Where it says state land auction, 2783 acres, that's what D.R. Horton purchased from the state. And the state was very nice in opening up the auction last year. And so the retained area is what was not purchased yet, but that is also part of this, these resolutions. So what this agreement does is it tells the developer that we are very interested in your development coming to the city, and we are going to pass the annexation ordinance, the master plan community zoning ordinance, the development agreement for the retained and auction property, and also as to the auction property, the 2 CFDs. You're going to do it the same night. There's not going to be a delay. And that's basically what this agreement authorizes you to enter into. So when you actually do see these items, the annexation, the MPC, the development agreement, and the CFDs, you're going to see them. You've heard about it for months, but I know you're waiting to see it. Hopefully, we were trying to get into July, but it may be August. But when you do that, we'd ask that you pass everything the same night. And so I do want to thank, there's been so much work involved here with staff. I'm probably going to miss some staff people. Thanks to Larry, Sydney, Rudy, Emil, the 2 Mikes.
Mike and Ike.
Yeah, Darren and his attorney, Bryant and Matt, the police chief, Pam, our librarian, and also Liz Langenbach. And I probably missed a few others. I also want to thank the Arizona State Land Commissioner and also the Arizona State Land staff. Also, the developer. Their staff has been amazing for both D.R. Horton and Brookfield. So I think, Bryant, you might want to say something.
Your Honor, I'll just add that over the last 3 decades, the residents of the City of Apache Junction have had a chance to review master planning.
Keep the lights on.
You want to issue a proclamation on that?
Okay, so where were we in the?
You were at number.
Your Honor, I think that was a message to be quick. I'll move real fast. Larry said to me when it went down, I said, hey, it's been 30 years when the work with the city, what's another, little bit of time? But the general plan, they've been adopted. This area has been seen in conjunction with Mesa and Queen Creek to work our boundaries together. The municipal boundaries sometimes could be very contentious. However, with Queen Creek and Mesa, we've been working great together. About 6 years ago, you adopted a resolution of support with Queen Creek to align our boundaries at the 24. And ever since then, we've been able just to make great progress within the State Land Department. And so tonight is the beginnings of that next chapter, as I see it. And again, just tremendous thanks to everyone involved. We do have a member of legal counsel from the State Land Department who is here. Maybe he can say hello. I don't know if he wants to come up and just say hello, but I know he doesn't want to speak too much, but sorry about that.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Ed Bull, 1850 North Central. I represent the State Land Department, and I don't need to speak at all unless you want me to. We're happy with the resolutions and ask your approval.
Thank you.
Okay, no one have any questions concerning state land? No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, that concludes our report from staff.
Okay, any discussion from council? Don't
It's
see.
gonna happen, no matter what. The growth is coming, whether we annex or not, and we need to annex it and make it ours.
Okay, so we're gonna have to do a motion for each one of them. So first we'll have a public hearing on either one of these. This is a public hearing. Does anyone like to speak on this? Yes, Mr. Schroeder.
George Schroeder, 244 West Virginia Street, AJ. We need to go slow about this. Very slow. Because I know these people very well. While we're basking in our glory and we're getting to be a bigger city and no money, we need to inform these people. There's not much we can do about the land trust, you know, really. No give, no take. But as far as D.L. Horton's concerned, we have a way to get money from these people. I would call it good faith money. In the mafia, they call it something else, but good faith money up front. What says to these people, D.L. Horton, oh yeah, we're gonna do everything you ask. Everything's gonna be honky-dory 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And the other blue section on the addendum, the extra land that they have. We're still not clear how that's gonna go. Do they have to, I understand they gotta purchase it yet? Or does that include the $240 million they got from down on high? They will come back and they will change the rules on us. That's not a maybe, that's a certainty. And like I told you last city council meeting, we need to grab this, make it our own, etched in indelible ink in stone, whatever we can do to make sure that these people don't come back and change their mind. Now, there's a way to describe it, but I won't because we're in a public setting. But we have to be able to get some good faith money from these people in case they goof up. It'll be on purpose, so it won't be a goof up, it's just change of heart. And they're gonna have all the blessings of everybody at the state and the land trust. They're gonna have them on their side. And, oh, we gotta do this. No, they don't. We say, you say, what goes in this. I want to see some good faith money come into our community, not just for George Schroeder streets, okay? The ladies back there on Idaho dying right on the street in 115 degrees because nobody cares to do anything about it. So we need money for this. So to do with the annexation, we need money. Get it from them now. Because if you wait, you're not going to get anything except a big, see you later. You understand, people? We need, this is ours. Make it ours. Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak on this? Seeing, no flashing of the lights. Seeing no additional, I'll close the public hearing. Do I have a motion for consideration for number 21-25?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that resolution number 21-25, a resolution of the mayor and the city council of the City of Apache Junction, Arizona, authorizing the mayor to execute the procedural pre-annexation agreement for the auction property between the City of Apache Junction, the Arizona State Land Department, and D.R. Horton Incorporated be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Nesser?
Yes.
Councilmember Gremmel?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi?
Yes.
Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Motion passes, Your Honor.
Thank you. And now a motion for resolution number 21-26.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that resolution number 2126, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the City of Apache Junction, Arizona, authorizing the mayor to execute the procedural pre-annexation agreement for the retained property between the City of Apache Junction and the Arizona State Land Department be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Councilmember Gremmel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi?
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously, Your Honor.
Okay, get started on that annexation.
Let's get it going.
Get it. Okay, Consideration for an application for an interim permit for the new Series 6 liquor license for Taradiddles, I think.
Yep.
Located 285 North Apache Trail. Jennifer.
Thank you, Your Honor. Before council this evening is the application for a Bar 6 license at Taradiddles. They've also applied for an interim permit. The next thing is for council to either approve or recommend denial to the State Liquor Board. The only thing that I would like to ask is that when you do make the motion, we're kind of changing things, that you won't see the reports from Fire, PD, because we get those. At this point, Taradiddles is still working with Development Services, but we're just moving forward with this. So that if you do make a motion, that motion would include, my apologies. Recommendation of either approval or denial, provided that the application is in compliance with all city regulations.
Got it.
Gets that.
So
Okay.
we need to add that into the
Motion, yes.
Yeah.
Is anyone from Taradiddles here who'd like to speak on behalf? Yes. You don't want to speak?
No. They're here, yeah.
You're here, okay. Well, welcome to our community, first off. Okay, council, any further discussion from council?
Nope.
Nope. This is a public hearing. Would anyone like to speak on this item? Don't see any. I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that the application for an interim permit and new Series 6 bar liquor license for Taradiddles located at 285 North Apache Trail, submitted by Philip and Helen Oppenheimer, be recommended for approval pending Development Services.
Compliance
Compliance
with all city regulations.
with all city regulations. Do we need to set a date for that? Okay.
Second?
Well,
Oh,
he didn't finish it. To the Arizona Department of Liquor
Oh,
Licenses
I'm sorry,
and
to the
Control.
Arizona Department of Liquor Licenses and Control.
second?
Okay, moved and seconded.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi?
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser?
Yes.
Councilmember Gremmel?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, consideration for ordinance number 1505. Case number P 21-6-PZ. Larry. Larry here? Yep, we're working on it. Oh, okay.
They're hoping the power goes out again.
Computer just went down. Oh, that-
Oh, there's your fingers.
I apologize, my presentation was lost in the outage.
No, upside down, Matt.
Oh,
There you go.
Move it to the right, yeah.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Morgan Henn. I'm a planning intern with Development Services, and tonight I'll be going over P216PZ for the project at 512 North Valley Drive. So, this is a request for a planned development major amendment for the 1 acre property currently zoned RM1 PD to allow the addition of 7 units for a total of 13 on the property. A little background, this property was an existing apartment rental unit, or apartment complex, before the adoption of the city's original zoning ordinance in 1985. And then it was rezoned to RS20M, and then under Ordinance 1430, case PZ 516, it was approved to be rezoned up to RM1 PD, which is what it is now. And under that ordinance, one of the conditions was if the owner wanted to, expand, they needed a plan development major amendment. So here on the site plan, this is the updated one. There will be no gate. But you can see on the right over here, that's the existing buildings, and then you have all the new units over here, as well as playground, new landscaping. Oh, probably better than my skirt. Yeah, so there will be landscaping all around throughout. This site plan doesn't show it, unfortunately. But that's that. And then we also have the color board. That helps. So all these units will be updated and revamped, and they will all match. I also will note that they are single story, so they're not going to be blocking any views. I know that was a concern. In the immediate zoning is single-family residential, but then around you have a lot of commercial and mixed use, so it does actually fit with the future zoning of the area. So there was some public input. We had an email, a letter, and a phone call concerning density, crime, and property values. We did hold 2 P&Z commission meetings, one on May 25th, and we did have to continue it to June 8th, just for additional information. And then on June 8th, the Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval with the addition of 2 conditions. One was for street improvements, and then the second was for them to enroll in the crime-free housing program with the city. And I guess that's all I can show you at the moment. Any questions?
I just have one.
Council, any questions? Go ahead.
Registering with the, could you repeat what you said, registering with the crime-free?
Crime-free multifamily housing
Isn't that a
program.
common thing that we do anyway here in the, we kind of do that anyway in the community, don't we?
But since it was kind of a concern, we just made it a condition.
When that program was first brought to the city back in 1998 or 2000, it was a requirement for a lot of different zoning ordinances. It kind of fell off the radar for some council members during that time. The chief can tell you how it's run, but basically it's a very good program that was taken from Mesa.
Yeah.
And I think Mesa started in 1993.
I just hadn't heard that from P&Z recently, so it kind of threw me because I thought it was a standard thing to do. So thank you. Great presentation. You did a good job.
Anyone else want?
Your Honor,
Yes?
I just want to make a comment that I am so happy about this particular project because I used to go up and down Valley a lot and always wondered why the lot wasn't completed with extra units. So I think this will be a great asset to Valley Drive and the community with the upgrade to the whole property.
Anyone else?
Mayor, I'm
Yep.
sorry, can I say one thing? Morgan, can you also add, because I watched the P&Z meeting, and they also added the information about having the owners provide contact information?
Yes, so the
Could you
owners
tell?
are
Yeah.
in that condition as well. The owners are supposed to give the neighboring residents contact information for the property management people that are on site, and the owners as well, just in case there are any issues. So they have access to that.
Good, I think
Okay.
that's a good thing.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
Your Honor,
Yes?
I move that ordinance number 1505 be read by title only, and the reading of the entire ordinance be waived.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call?
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Gremmel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi?
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Ordinance number 1505, an ordinance of the mayor and city council of the City of Apache Junction, Arizona, approving a plan development major amendment, case P-21-6-PZ, a request by Investments LLC, represented by, I apologize, Sridhar Krishnan, allowing the addition of 7 apartment units for a total of 13 units on the 1 acre, high-density, multifamily residential by planned development RM-1 PD property, repealing any conflicting provisions and providing for severability.
Okay, now we have the main motion.
Any takers?
Oh, I shut it down. I thought you were going to
No.
do the whole thing.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
what is the main motion?
Right, do you need it?
No. Yeah, I don't have,
Adopted with the following amendments.
it's the whole thing. I move that ordinance number 1505 be read by title only. No.
Right here.
That's what I'm saying,
Right
it's where
As
mine
read,
is.
as read by the city clerk.
Okay, I move that ordinance number 1505 as read by the city clerk be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call?
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi?
I need to ask a question of Joe really quick. Does it already include the provisions that the planning and zoning had agreed upon with?
Oh, yeah.
Do we need to add that in our motion, to register with the crime-free thing and to have their contact
I
information?
believe that was in the ordinance,
It is
but
in the
it's, they are.
It's-
they are.
It's covered, right?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Madam Clerk, yes.
Okay. Councilmember Gremmel?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
All right, considering the proposed projects submitted under Resolution 2124, Misty to present.
Hello. I'm Misty Mosley-Helber. I'm your grants administrator. So it's on the desktop. Here we go.
Well, when we lose power, we lose everything, don't we?
Okay. So yes, tonight I'm going to tell you about the funding available and what we can do with it and what we'd like to do with it. So these are the items that must be discussed per the public participation requirements to be eligible to apply for and receive CDBG funding. So a public meeting was held via Zoom on April 29th to gather the community's input, and I met with city leadership team on May 20th to discuss project ideas. So tonight's public hearing is the final step with regard to public participation and will clear the way for us to be able to submit for grant applications. So to qualify for this funding, a project must meet one of 3 national objectives. And the bullet items in white are generally not available to Apache Junction because AJ as a whole community is not 51% or more low to moderate income. And urgent need refers to natural disasters and such, so we're not typically eligible under that either. But we do have an area or a neighborhood that's been identified and established as a redevelopment area, and we call that the Apache Trail redevelopment area. And here it is. So this qualifying area has been approved by the grant funder and is targeted for improvements within the city's downtown redevelopment and implementation strategy, as well as the strong sustainable community initiative. So this area is going to be important again in a few more slides when I talk about project ideas. So completing all the necessary paperwork and getting environmental approvals, et cetera, is pretty time consuming. So it's better to have a long-term, multi-year plan. And this area has been the focus of that type of plan. It's a 5-year approved plan that began in 2017. And actually it should conclude with this funding cycle. So many projects are considered eligible under CDBG, the program, but the project must also reflect in the Arizona Department of Housing's Consolidated Plan or Action Plan. So although CDBG is federal dollars, the Arizona Department of Housing is the funder, meaning that it's the agency through which we receive the money, so they have the oversight on us. The city's been receiving CDBG and SSP funding since 1982. The total funding received to date is just under $8 million. And a more complete list to include specific projects and their dollar amounts can be found on the city's website at the past projects link there. Okay, so let's take a look at the current funding that's available and the past award amounts and the trend that's happening. So CDBG RA is Community Development Block Grant Regional Account. And this one is an allocation that we're guaranteed to receive. Our portion's been decreasing significantly in the recent years. So you can see it's about $15,000 each year. So in the past, we've partnered with Payson for a few years, and now we've been approached and we're establishing an agreement with Gila County. So they're in the same funding group as we are, so our amounts are the same. So how this works is Gila County is going to give us their portion of the RA funds this year, and then we'll give them our portion next year. So it doubles the amount. It allows us to double the amount we're taking, and we can take on a bigger project. So it makes it worth the staff time that's spent on the administering this grant. And then SSP stands for State Special Project. This one's a competitive grant. So it should make our application more solid because we're able, matching funds make the application more solid. And usually we get those funds from city revenue or even other grants. So I plan to use the double portion of this grant, or the RA money, as the leverage for this year's application. So hopefully it makes it stronger and makes us more competitive to receive the $300,000. So now let's talk about what we could do and what we want to do. So revisiting the Apache Trail redevelopment area from a few slides ago, so the Grandview neighborhood is within this area, and it's been the focus of the 5-year plan I spoke about that began in 2017. And as I mentioned, we've already received all the approvals that are necessary to be able to apply for both grant funds, the CDBG and SSP funds, to work in this area. Another city program that would qualify under SSP would be our housing rehab program. We already have that in place, so it would be simple just to add more funding to it. However, the Department of Housing has 2 other funding streams, one state and one federal, that are dedicated to this. So I put this forward as a possibility and an example. So now this is a public hearing, so now we give the community time to express their needs and desires or to hear project ideas or maybe support the ones I've already highlighted.
Okay. This is public hearing. Do I have anyone? Yes, Mr. Schroeder?
George Schroeder, 244 West Virginia. I've got videos of 20 years of my streets being overran with water, not the least of which, 2020, after they did Delaware, is now worse. I got 40 signatures on a petition before you. They want to sue the living hell out of the city. Decades of being flooded. And I can't even get a permit now, because Mike doesn't like my attitude, to get a curb in front of my house, which I want to pay for. That's retarded. So when they designate Grandview as a problem, sorry, mine's way, way above that. Virginia, Delaware, Pinion, way above that for years. Now, I'm told I got to get the videos and the pictures to you. Well, let me give you a shortcut. Federal government and the mass media, world news, was out here to watch Delaware and Superstition when it got flooded. Really? We need more proof that mine is a blighted area? We got crackheads that you can't get rid of. They won't leave. and they keep coming in. But my area doesn't fit the qualifications. Somebody's got their head up their butt. Let's take care of this.
Anyone else? Council, any comments, concern? No? Okay,
Oh, I'm sorry, I'd like to continue. I have more.
okay.
Okay, so based on discussions and in the interest of taking full advantage of our final year left in the approved 5-year plan, staff puts forward a storm sewer project in the Grandview neighborhood area for council approval. This project's ready to go. Environmental review, engineering, design are all complete. The project is shovel-ready, which is a requirement of the SSP application. So this map kind of brings the whole picture together. The orange outline is the Apache Trail redevelopment area that's the qualified area for projects. The yellow and green is the Grandview neighborhood, so it's kind of Apache Trail to Broadway north and south, and Delaware to Ironwood east and west. And the inset box shows that the projects that have been completed as part of this multi-year plan. And the next and final project will involve drainage and a storm sewer along Broadway from Grand to Ocotillo. So the next immediate steps are for City Council to pass the 2 resolutions that are on the agenda tonight. One that would allow me to submit the applications for these funds, and one to approve the partnership with Gila County for funding purposes, which that one's on consent agenda. And then I would gather the necessary documents and submit the applications. Continuing on with the final item we have to cover in this public hearing, the Arizona Department of Housing, which is our funder, requires that the city provide, maintain, and follow certain documents, procedures, and policies in order to be eligible to receive CDBG funds. Having a grievance procedure is one of those requirements, and ours can be located on the city's website at that above web address. Other requirements are related to fair housing, ADA, and civil rights, and those files and documents can be made available to the public upon request. And that concludes my presentation for you. Any further questions, comments?
No.
Thank you.
The only question I have, do I have to reopen to call the public? Because I guess I called it early.
For the public hearing, I think so.
Technically, yes, you
Okay.
did, so yes.
All right, so since I messed up and called the public early, do anyone else would like to speak on this? Okay, I'll close the call to public. Do I have a motion?
Your Honor.
Yes.
I move that resolution number 21-24, resolution of the mayor and city council of the City of Apache Junction, Arizona, authorizing staff to submit applications to the State of Arizona Department of Housing for fiscal year 21 CDBG and fiscal year 2021 SSP funds, and authorizing the mayor to sign the applications, contracts, grant documents, and other related documents for receipt and use of CDBG funds for fiscal year 2021 CDBG Grandview neighborhood improvements for the maximum grant award, and fiscal year 2021 SSP Grandview neighborhood improvements for $300,000 be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Vice Mayor Rizzi,
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser,
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs,
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Councilmember Gremmel,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes, Your Honor.
Okay, new business. Presentation, discussion, and consideration for economic development agreement with the Greater Phoenix Economic Council for Economic Development Services and appointment to the city, a city representative.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Janine Sally, Economic Development Director, here this evening to present to you the fiscal year 21-22 contract renewal for services with the Greater Phoenix Economic Council. I'm going to start with a brief presentation tonight, but I'm going to be turning over the majority of my time. We have an economic development legend here, Chris Camacho, from GPEC tonight, so we'll be bringing him up in just a moment. He'll be happy to go into more detail about what GPEC does in terms of providing services, and then also answer any questions that you might have. So just briefly, Apache Junction initially joined GPEC back in 2008 in order to add some valuable economic development services for the city of Apache Junction. And with our membership, we gain a lot of exposure to business and industry that alone we could not accomplish. So we also are able to discover strategies that are going to help us think about how we want to grow in terms of our job growth here locally in the future. And they have a very talented and solid, sophisticated organization that has time and again really shown positive job growth for the Phoenix region. In fact, GPEC was recognized by the International Economic Development Council as the top economic development organization in the United States last year. So that says a little bit about how awesome they are. We're really grateful to have this resource at the city that we can tap into. So we are going to be seeking approval for renewal of the contract this upcoming fiscal year in the amount of $26,283. Chris is going to cover more specifically GPEC's role, but just to let you know, we are one of 23 other member communities. There are over 170 private investors who also support GPEC. And through a collaborative effort, they provide top-notch data. They assist with companies with site location. They advocate for business-friendly policy to keep Arizona competitive. And they also provide us with a number of networking events and engagement opportunities so we can meet with business leaders and key stakeholders throughout the state of Arizona. I currently serve on the GPEC Ambassador Steering Committee, and I, along with former Vice Mayor, now Commissioner Barker, and our former ED specialist, Alan, all have taken advantage of becoming certified ambassadors for GPEC, and it's a tremendous program that they offer. You all are, of course, welcome to engage at whatever level you'd like to. We'd love to have you join us for some of those events. So just quickly, GPEC staff is very knowledgeable. They have a very experienced team, and Chris Camacho is at the helm. He's a very sought-after economic development expert who helps to guide good business policy that helps keep Arizona competitive. I'm really pleased we have him with us here tonight. He'll give you some additional insight into regional initiatives that GPEC is working on and how that impacts local municipalities as well as the state overall. So I'll invite Chris up to make a few comments.
Thank you, Janine. Thank you, Mayor and the Council, for allowing me to be here this evening. Quite a great introduction. I will be very brief because I know it's been a long evening so far, and you even turned the lights on and off for the first time in my 20 years of doing this. I've never experienced that. So exciting to be out here. I always love the view of the superstitions. I was sharing with Janine, I'm able to bring my wife and kids out to do hiking out this direction, and it's just pristine and a beautiful place, so you're very fortunate. So what I'm going to do tonight, give you a very brief high-level overview, and if you're interested in learning more about our organization, feel free to reach out to me directly. We've had a great long-standing partnership with this community, and I still think the best years are yet to come. Reviewing the general plan, in addition to the expansion of the 8,100 acres that you're embarking upon, this is really going to be a unique time for this community as you look at entitlement planning, infrastructure. In our world where we represent the region, I just want to make sure you understand that there's 22 cities in the Metro Phoenix region that work together, row together, to ensure that we're building the right kind of economy for our communities. And my job is to go out and really do three things. We recruit companies from around the world, so that's probably what you read about in the Business Journal, these companies that flock from around the market to come to Metro Phoenix, and they come to a variety of places. The second thing that we do is we manage the brand. So we're out communicating to these types of companies outside of Arizona why it's a great place to do business. So we'll be on Fox Business News on Thursday morning talking about why Greater Phoenix is a great place to do business, for example. And we do the same thing on the other cable media outlets as well, since we're a nonpartisan group. But we're telling the story as to why is this a great place to live, work, raise a family, and obviously have the opportunities that these set of communities provide. And then lastly, very quickly, is we focus on the competitive position. So I can't help but shake, but I'm a tax and analytics background. And so as an example, Representative Cook mentioned the tax cut plan that had been proposed just this last week and had a $1.9 billion impact to our state and to our communities. And so the quick version of this, and again, I'm going to distill it quickly, is that we analyzed the competitive position advancement that kind of tax cut would create, and ultimately felt that it was important for GPEC to take a position to recommend that we hold our cities harmless on that particular approach. Roughly, it's a $230 to $300 million impact to our communities, and my argument to the governor's office was, at the end of the day, our communities need to have not only public services and not only public safety, which is absolutely a prerequisite, but we need to have the community infrastructure to build future commerce corridors. It's that simple. And so while I focus generally on the competitive positions, that's a really important issue for our community. So I'm on slide 1 and I'm 4 minutes in, and Janine told me she's going to get the hook at 5. So I'm going to be very quick on this next part. So as you can see, we're metriced by our board of directors in these measurements. We've brought to bear these 34 companies to the Metro Phoenix market, induced $12.8 billion of new investment, 8,000 phase 1 jobs with an average wage of $79,000 in change. The active projects, this is important for our communities. We have 253 companies from around the world evaluating Greater Phoenix as we speak as to their qualified ability to move forward with the project. That doesn't mean we're going to win all of them, obviously, because they're also looking at Austin and Denver and other places around the globe. But that's the cumulative capital investment and square footage potential. Where do our deals come from? I'll let you eyeball that chart. Probably no big surprise. Many of these are out of California, our neighbor to the west. About 31%, and about 20% are internationally sourced now. You might have read a little bit about Taiwan Semiconductor that's going to North Phoenix. That will have massive economic consequence for every community in our state with the state shared revenue model. That's going to be a $12 billion investment alone, that one project, and create thousands of jobs and currently 24 supply chain companies. That impacts the entirety of this Metro Phoenix region. So as Janine mentions, we've worked very closely with this community for a lot of years. Again, we market the assets, we market the land base. I'm really excited to work with this team on that future plan. I know the first phase of that 8,100 acres is going to be residential, but over time, our goal is to work with the state land department and certainly this community to build out what that general plan looks like so that we're in a position to help market industrial and commerce opportunities that will present itself over the next decade. So in terms of direct ROI, all of our communities are on an equitable approach whereby, dependent upon your population base, that's what constitutes your annual payment should you select to move forward with GPEC at $26,283. Every community pays a flat rate into our system. Our operating revenue is about 30% represented by our communities in our county. That's matched 2-to-1 by the private sector. And so since I've been involved, now this is year 13, we've grown that private sector contribution model pretty significantly to really reduce the burden on our communities. And you can see that 13-to-1 return is simply a direct revenue model as it relates to all the projects that have landed in the Southeast Valley and on the east side that have economic consequence based upon the travel patterns of residents across the eastern part of the East Valley. These are just a myriad of companies just in the last few years that have been recruited to this region. So we've been in existence for 31 years, but this snapshot is just a few of those major brands. Electromechanica is the most recent one. Southeast Mesa, Mayor, you mentioned Phoenix Mesa Gateway. We should be announcing our second major headquarters there next week as well, in addition to that Electromechanica project on the bottom right corner there, bringing 300 jobs and a $50 million investment for solo vehicles. If you haven't seen them, they're pretty far out vehicles. So that's a quick view of what we do. Our action plan is predicated on these 6 areas. Again, I'm not going to repeat them, but you'll see that I'm a big believer in data is going to drive decision making, and we've really built our organization up as being one of the top economic development organizations, but predicated on data to help our cities think through the next generation of industries that are evolving right before our eyes. So I'm happy to unpack that at any time in the future or come out for a workshop. I always love coming out here, so any chance I get, I'll take your invite, I promise you. So let me know, and that's a brief overview of what we do. So thank you very much, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I don't have a question, just a comment. Whoever does your guys' social media and stuff is really great because I read almost all of those articles and they're very easy to understand. I'm a policy wonk to begin with, but for the non-policy wonks, they're very easy to understand and know what's going on in the Valley and especially in economic development. So thank you guys for that.
Well, thank you, Councilman. I'll share that with our team. They'll be very prideful of that.
You got anything?
I think it may be more for Janine than...
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Did you have a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I too like data, and I have to ask it, I just do. How many years have we been on this, on GPEC board? Or
Since '08, so does that make?
So quite a few, huh?
14.
14. And I also have to ask, how has this city been directly impacted by being on this, belonging to this organization? What has it done for this city? What has, I've been here for almost 2 decades, and I haven't seen anything really happening that, I mean, $26,000 a year of taxpayer money. I'd like to see some results, and I'm just curious. Did they bring in fries?
It's a fair question, Councilmember Schroeder. I think a lot of the types of industry that and companies that GPEC pursues are not the fries. They don't do tourism, they don't do retail, they don't do entertainment, they do living wage jobs. They have a very specific targeted type of business that they try to attract to the region. We thus far in the community have not necessarily had the inventory, the stock of whether it be a warehouse or an office space, or the clients are looking for a particular type of product, and we don't have that particular type of product, nor did we have land that was kind of coming online in order to accommodate some of those users. So the exciting thing right now is that, I'll answer this in 2 parts, is that we are at the precipice of a change here in Apache Junction where we're going to have SR 24, we're going to have the north-south corridor sited, we're going to have opportunities to create employment zones to attract and have places for some of the folks that they pursue to go to. So we'll be able to throw our hat in the ring. So we haven't thus far, but we have benefited from them because a lot of the, Chris went through a list of the businesses that have landed in the Southeast Valley. Many of our residents are employed at those locations. So they earn their wage, they come here, and they do go shop at our fries. So indirectly—
That has nothing really to do with us joining this organization. The fact that they got a job in a different city.
I think the development around the airport and such is a big impact to economically in our city, our residents and all of that. So I see it, but it's more of an indirect at this point.
Janine, just a question. It sounds to me like one of the things they do is they kind of market our community when these things come in.
They do.
So when I look at this, and this is not, how do I say this? Compared to the chamber and our visitor center, I'd say this is a good bang for our buck.
Mm-hmm.
And there's certain things, we had to make some big decisions to be on the airport board and things like that. There's certain things that we need to be at the table at. So for me, I would think we're getting a good bargain here.
Yes, thank you for that point. And I will add, they do offer us, when they have site selection panels that come out, they will bring site selectors from across the country, and they will bring them here to Phoenix, and they allow member communities to sit before them and tell them what is great about our community. What do we have on the horizon? And that's an audience that we alone would never be able to get. So those site selectors might look at us and say, oh, great community, you're not quite ready yet, but wow, when we tell them about the SR 24 and the momentum that we can pick up from what's happening at the Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport, we're at least on their radar. And so when we do start to see some of that development occur, we're going to be better positioned because we've already started to establish those relationships. So it's an investment that will take some time to cultivate relationships and getting to know people in the industry and the development community, getting to know Apache Junction better. And yes, they do market us. If you go on their website now, they have an Apache Junction page. So we are part of that. We're at the table.
Janine, do you ever use GPEC as a research arm of our economic development staff? And if so, how? And then tell me about CoStar and what does that bring if we were to pay for that? So maybe a couple other items that are actual tangible that we have.
We do. They have a very stellar research team, and we have had some small manufacturers, for example, come to the city to say, we want to build barns, but we need welders, we're short. We can actually call GPEC and say what's in the pipeline, and they can do some research and find that out for us. So we can give answers to those companies who are looking here, that I would never know how many welders are in the pipeline, but they do know that. And Bryant, thank you for the CoStar reminder. They do provide us an annual subscription membership to a CoStar database, which is a real estate database that's tremendously valuable for me. I'm able to look on there. If I have somebody say, hey, I'm looking to move to Apache Junction, what's available in terms of lease space that's this size or that size? If it's listed on CoStar, I'm able to look that up. And I can also look at anywhere in the state, in the country for that matter, to kind of see what we're competing against or what lease rates might be in the East Valley market. So that's a tremendous resource as well.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Janine, as adding on to what Robert said, I think looking at it as you said, it may not be doing something right now today for us to be a member of GPEC, but there's future growth coming. So if we were to not join GPEC and, what was it, $26,000, and keep that in our own pocket and do our own promoting, to reach these people, as many people as GPEC does, we would be paying lots more than $26,000. Am I not correct?
Without a doubt. So I will just give you an example. To be in a Site Selector magazine, to have a one-page ad in there, which we've tried to do when they had a Pinal County edition before, was about $7,500 for a one-page ad in one magazine that came out 1 month, where GPEC is 24/7 out there promoting us, and Arizona and the region.
So it's money we're putting in our future.
Absolutely.
For right now. It might not be doing something today, but it's probably, or a good chance that it's going to do something tomorrow for us.
Right, and to be fair, as I mentioned and Chris mentioned, there are 22 member communities. So you hear a lot about the Mesa around the airport, or the Phoenix, or the Tempe, or those communities that are a little bit more established and well-positioned to attract this type of industry. They've put in the infrastructure. They have time under their belt. The younger communities, though, all benefit as well, and we'll be there one day. Yeah. And I think it's going to be in the very near future, so long as when we plan along our freeway corridors, we're planning appropriately and we're thinking about employment and living wage jobs. And retail's great. It pays our bills, but
Not enough.
we need living wage jobs, right? It's just, it makes for a more sustainable community. So and that's what they do and specialize in, and we reap the benefits from.
Your Honor.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just wanted to just comment to Councilmember Schroeder and thank him for asking these questions, because we get these questions from our constituents, and it is taxpayer money we're spending. So these questions are important to ask, and I just wanted to thank him for bringing it up and digging a little deeper. And it also gives you the opportunity to explain so that the public does understand where their dollars are going. So thank you for that.
Well, I echo that sentiment, but also I think that there's a great opportunity. I can't remember if it was Chris or you, Janine, who mentioned the ambassador program, and a great opportunity for council members and city staff, whomever, to really get involved and better understand what GPEC does and help forge those relationships for the future as well. So definitely something I'm interested in hearing more about. So,
Mayor.
Yes.
I assume, Joel, I'm able to speak on this if I'm going to be put up as a Board of Directors member. Can I still speak on the matter? Okay, great. So I have to say, I'm excited about this, and I think, and I appreciate where Councilman Schroeder's concerns come in, but I think now more than ever, it's so important that we stay with GPEC and make sure that Apache Junction is out there and everybody knows about us, and get what we can get and make sure that we are well represented. So I just wanted to throw that in.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I just wanted to say that a couple of years ago, GPEC came out and did a informal meeting in our development services boardroom that I attended. And the one interesting thing that was said in there that I think we all need to hear again and again is, we asked, what have they done for us? But in all of the time that he was at GPEC, and I believe it was Mr. Camacho that was speaking, no developer ever came in and asked for raw land. They wanted land
that already had the infrastructure to it. And I think that that's one thing that we really, with all of this development down south, we really need to push forward to get the infrastructure in our big vacant land commercial areas to help ourselves. And we have to act on that. And that's it.
I'll agree with that.
And Mayor, if I
Okay.
may add one more very direct impact that GPEC has had for our community. You may all recall when the U-Haul site was being rezoned, and we talked to the developer, they wanted to do storage. And there was a dialogue about could we take half of that property and make it 40 acres of industrial so that we could get some potential users here. The relationships that we had established with GPEC and people in GPEC were able to come to the table with U-Haul and meet with them and say, industrial makes sense here. Here's what's like strong in the industry right now. They actually made the case to get U-Haul to consider making that 40 acres industrial, and that's eventually how the rezoning ended up occurring. Now, we're still working with them. We have a developer actually in the wings who wants to develop that as an industrial site. U-Haul's dragging their feet a little bit, but that's a whole other story. But the realization that GPEC, and had we not established those relationships prior, would not have been batting for us to help U-Haul understand that this is a good use for this particular site, and here's data to show why it is. So that was another very direct result that we've seen from them.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, do I have a motion?
Your Honor.
Yes.
I move that the agreement with Greater Phoenix Economic Development, or Greater Phoenix Economic Council, GPEC, for economic development services for the term of 1 year in an amount of $26,283, and the appointment of Councilmember Kelly Gremmel as the City of Apache Junction representative to the GPEC Board of Directors.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi?
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser?
Yes.
Councilmember Gremmel?
And Joel, I can vote on this?
I'm sorry.
She can vote for herself.
I can.
You can.
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Mayor Wilson?
Yes,
Unanimous, Your Honor.
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, do I have a motion for the next meeting?
Your Honor.
Yes.
I move that an executive session at 6 p.m. for Tuesday, July 6th, 2021 be held in the City Council Conference Room located in East Superstition Boulevard and Apache Junction, and other meetings be scheduled if necessary.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
Councilmember Nesser?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Gremmel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Motion passes.
Okay. Your call to the public. I would like to remind everyone, call to the public is a courtesy and not a requirement by law. Excuse me. It is time for the public to express requests, communication, comments, and suggestions. Requests to speak forms must have been completed and handed into the city clerk before the end of the city manager's report. All issues shall be presented in a professional manner without personal attacks. Under open meeting law, the council cannot engage in discussions on issues presented, but may respond to criticism and may direct staff to follow up with the speaker directly and/or place a matter in future agenda for council discussion. There is a 3-minute time limit for each speaker. Okay, Jeff Bartlett.
I'm Jeff Bartlett. I'm over at 108 North Meridian Drive, apartment 220 in Apache Junction, Arizona. And I'd like to address the council on on 3 things I've previously have addressed the council on. First thing would be public transportation. I mean, I've addressed this before, and I think something should be done about it. I think that it should be placed on an agenda. I think this should be discussed on a future agenda. I mean, I've been bringing it up because I kind of feel that it is important. I mean, today I was out walking the streets in 100-degree heat with a sign. I mean, it's hot, and I used to have to walk these streets without one to try to find work and to even go to the grocery store, and it's 100-degree heat. I used to have to do that every day. But I want to kind of talk about some more important issues as well. I mean, yesterday I brought up the need for city-run public health care. I think that's important. The city of New York City does it. I mean, there's a reason why over 8 million people live there. I think something should be done at a city level, especially after a pandemic. I mean, we have city police departments that help keep us safe. We have fire departments that help keep us safe. I don't see why cities don't have something to do with public health care to help keep people safe and also help people, you know, they might have whatever's going on. I mean, if someone's in the hospital, they cannot afford to pay. I mean, they can't work, obviously. So, I mean, and then they get stuck with a bill. I don't think this is a good system, and I think Apache Junction should set the example. And even if it doesn't pass out here, I think other cities would catch on to it, even if it's placed on an agenda. I mean, the media would catch on to it. I think something should be done. I think people should be speaking up about this. I think this should be a grassroots movement, and it should start at the city level. And before I run out of time, I mean, I mentioned city code reform. I mean, city codes, not just Apache Junction. Apache Junction's actually been pretty good lately about things, but I mean, I feel that a lot of city codes I think they criminalize things too much. I mean, there's a lot of petty things that should not be crimes. I mean, there's also excessive fines and penalties for petty things. I think cities should relook at their city codes and work on a city code reform. I mean, it's something that should be done, and I think Apache Junction should set that example to these other cities. And I'd like to thank you for letting me speak here, and God bless.
Thank you. Mr. Schroeder.
George Schroeder, 244, West Virginia. Anybody ever seen the movie Pretty Woman? That's a great movie. It tells you how to make money, which they're not doing. They're finding money for everybody else for a grand future 30 years from now. I'd really like to know who's deciding that Grand Haven is more deserving than my neighborhood. Who thinks like that? Okay? You know who doesn't? The people on that list I gave you in Mr. Biggs' neighborhood. They're ready to put you out of business. They're ready to fire every one of you years ago. You need to know it's coming. You're going to fix my streets, whether you like it or not. Now, who decides what neighborhood gets money and which doesn't? 300,000, and they got to do it from 2 different sources. Oh, wow. We have a serious problem generating money in the city for the people who need the money, like my streets, the homeless. I'm going to tell you right now, that lady dies on that sidewalk, it's going to go public, like big, really fast, and you're going to be held responsible. I'm not even kidding with you right now. I'm going to make a serious effort for the Attorney General to come here in person and see what the hell is going on with the city. You're liable. You don't know this, but you're liable for that lady's death if she dies on that sidewalk. You're liable if somebody dies in my flooded streets. For whatever reason, you're liable. You don't have enough money. Mr. Powell, Mr. Busby, you better find some money real soon. Don't roll your eyes. It's coming.
Council, make any comments? All right. I'll call this meeting adjourned.